Hi and welcome to this week's GMBN Tech Show. Coming up we have the new Giro Insurgent spherical MIPS full face helmet. We have the Marzocchi Bomber Air a new addition to their range, a new high pivot bike from Deviate, and also we have rewind and bike cave action from you lot. Okay, so we're going to jump straight into news because we've got plenty of stuff and I've got a bit of show and tell here. We've got the new Giro helmet here. So this is the Insurgent and it's a spherical MIPS helmet. So I'm guessing you know what that's all about. We're going to get into that in a minute. Now you might have, if you're eagle-eyed, seen this helmet appearing on some certain EWS Pros, perhaps painted in Red Bull colours at the recent EWS one in the Tweed Valley. Now this is their brand new helmet. It's just broken cover. In fact, Anna actually did sit up there, but they weren't allowed to tell us about it because it hadn't launched. Actually just launched yesterday. So this helmet has got more features crammed into it and it's also lighter than their existing helmet, which you may know, the Disciple. In fact, this helmet on screen right now. So let's dive into the ins and outs of this brand new helmet, and it's based around the spherical MIPS system. So in case you're unaware, MIPS is a system that works on the inside of your helmet. Essentially it has a cradle that sits on your head. The helmet can move slightly around that cradle, helping prevent injuries that you would associate with sort of rotational injuries that you're going to get in certain types of impact. Now this new system is their spherical system. Now we've already seen this in the Manifest helmet, we've seen this in various other road helmets as well, and it's incredible technology, and it's kind of like a ball and socket joint. So the inner helmet can slide around the outer helmet, which is just a brilliant concept, I think, and certainly seems like it's going to offer loads of protection. Now it's actually a two-piece construction as well to it. So you've got an EPP liner and you've got an EPS external part of the helmet. So the EPS is associated with those big impacts, one where it's really got to crush to absorb the impact from getting through to your skull. And then you've got the EPP on the inside, which is a slightly lower density material, almost squashy to the touch. So what they say, Giro, is it's good for sort of rolling in the dirt type impacts, just a small daily knocks and scuffs. And they also use the same EPP on the inside of the jaw guard there. Now, unlike early day full face helmets, the modern versions really do have brilliant ventilation by comparison. Of course, it's still going to be a lot hotter than you would be wearing an open face helmet, but this is what you need to get that maximum protection. Now on the inside you've got loads of channels, so these intake ports at the front here can really pull the air over the back as the air sort of pulls through the back there through those exhaust ports. Plenty of ventilation for what's necessary on there, and on the inside you also have a really nice plush liner here. You've got the removable cheek pads here, easily removable by medics, available in two different sizes here. I think you've got 25 and 30mm, so depending on the size and the fit that you need there, so it's completely tailor-made to you. You also have a double D-link standard moto effect there, so all medics know how to remove those. And interestingly, they've got this new feature you're just about to see on the side here called the Flex gasket. Now this area here is made from EPP and it's quite squashy. And what Giro found out was that in some impacts, depending on the fit of the helmet and the sort of physicality of the rider, some people in the past have had collarbone injuries from the helmet just digging in. I mean, if that happened to me, I'd probably break my neck's so long. But nonetheless, it has happened to quite a lot of people, enough for them to develop this part of the helmet here. So if the helmet does contact with your collarbones, you're far less likely to suffer an injury, which I think is a really smart feature to see on here. The helmet comes in three colours. I actually think this is the nicest of the three colours. You might totally disagree, that's a personal preference thing, but I like the subtlety and probably team that up with some bright neon sort of green or yellow goggles to go with that. Great looking helmet, it's got a removable peak and it's also a breakaway peak design. Under here you've got a mount to fit a GoPro or an action camera on. It doesn't have screws as such. You've got these little thumb screws here at the side that you can adjust by hand. You don't need a tool for them. If they do shear off in the event of a crash where you're going to pop that peak off or maybe just hitting something, don't fret about it, because even though you'll have the plastic stuck into the thread of the helmet, you can actually remove it with an Allen key. So I've thought about that really nicely, and I like the fact it's a tool-free design, unlike some of the other ones on the market. As I said, the three colours available. Now the interesting thing is that this one is crammed with new tech on here. It's got more protection, yet it still manages to be lighter. So a size medium large, you can expect it to weigh around 1,040 grams, whereas the Disciple in the same equivalent size weighs about 1,200 grams. That is pretty good going, I think, for a full face helmet, giving that amount of protection. Now pricing on these, certifications, it meets and exceeds everything. So you've got ASTM 1952DH, CEEN 1078, CPSC, AS, NZS, ASTM 2032 BMX, yada yada yada. It's going to keep you protected, is what it's basically saying. It's going to retail for 350 quid here in the UK, which is about 390 in euros, and it's available as of right now. Okay, next up in news is a tool from Granite. This is called the Stash. In fact, it's the Stash RT. I wish I had it in my hand because this looks like a really cool tool. They sent us loads of images, so you're going to be looking at it on screen now. Now, as you can obviously see, it fits inside the steerer tube, kind of like you'd see with other tools like the EDC. I know there's a few available on the market. This one doesn't require you having to tap a thread on the top of your steerer tube, which I'm sure will please some people out there. But it has quite a different tool approach on there. So rather than having a small multi-tool that just sits inside the steerer tube, you've actually got a really decent sized ratchet tool in there. So I think they say, yeah, it's 92 millimeters long. So it's pretty much a full size compact ratchet there. And it takes and comes with 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 and T25 bits, as well as a 50 millimeter long PH1 bit. So you can use it as an extension for the handle basically. So a genuinely really big usable tool, making the most of that space on the head in the steerer tube there. It's finger pressure just to remove it. The top cap as well, they say can be converted into a cycling computer mount, if I get my words out, making it quite unique in that respect, because a lot of them you can't do that with. So that's great if you like to do that. The housing on it as well will fit even on the inside of reinforced steerer tubes, and the same with overlised ones. So that's a really cool thing. Weighs 159 grams. I've only got the US retail price at the moment, which is $69.99, and it comes in black and orange, which is pretty much trademark for all of their products. I think it looks really cool. Great bit of kit. Would love to see one in the flesh. Yeah, there you go. Great tool if you need one. Next up, something new from Peaty's. This is their new Holeshot Biofibre tubeless sealant. Now, they've had tubeless sealant in the past. This is their latest one, and they say this is the best thing ever. Of course, they're going to say that. But I've heard very good things about this nonetheless. So the previous model, you'll probably be aware that had sort of glitter on the inside. It was bio-friendly glitter. It wasn't just makeup glitter. This one, they've changed those particles to black, so blend them in your tyre a bit more, and it's also got like fibres in there as well as those particles, so it really just meshed together for the holes. They say this stuff will seal 6mm slashes quite easily, which is a great statement. Keen to try that to see if that's the case. I think it's really cool. So it's CO2 safe, which is great. It's water-based and it has no ammonia in there. Fully biodegradable. So the whole Peaty's brand really sort of rests on all of that. All good stuff. They say lasts up to 6 months in a tyre, and it works from -20 to +50 degrees. Great stuff. And it costs $7.99 in Power Cheers, $19.99 for 500ml, or $29.99 for the big one. Looks good. And next up, a revision on the Canyon Lux, that super light 4-inch travel cross-country race frame. Again, it's the same but different approach here. It looks fundamentally the same. If it ain't broke, don't change it. But it's now lighter. Now already it was insanely light. So they've got the CF and the CFR. They've got CF and CFR models available now. But it's lost a substantial amount of weight. So we'll start with a heavy option here. So the CF, they haven't quoted the frame size, I would assume probably a medium. They say weighs 1,925 grams. That's really light, and actually that's lighter than the equivalent size Scott Spark, according to website specs. But the light version weighs 1,535 grams for the CFR. That is insanely light. So that's 130 odd grams lighter than the previous CFR model, which was bonkers light anyway. So it's the same tried and tested frame layout, using the flex stays on the back, so single pivot, and it's got the rocker to drive the shock there on the seat stay. The same format, same deal applies, except it's lighter. And they say it could be the lightest full suspension frame out there. Just having a quick look online, it does appear that it may well be. I'm sure there are some sort of anomalies out there, but man, it's like a seriously light frame. And considering the tech you get in this frame and how light it is, if you are a top-end racer and you need something like this, the value is actually there as well. So they've got the Lux World Cup 6, World Cup 7, then they've got the World Cup CFR Team and the CFR Limited Edition. So the World Cup ones are the 6 and 7 use the CF carbon fibre, and they are 3,299 and 3,999, both very highly spec'd as well. And then you've got the CFR Team, which is 6,999, and you've got the CFR Limited at 7,999. Not cheap by any means, but very well priced considering the tech you get, how little it weighs, and the spec on the bikes as well. Next up, the Marzocchi Bomber Air shock. Now, they've already got the Bomber coil shock out there, which is actually, I think, probably one of the best value shocks on the market. So much so, I'm trying to get hold of one to make a video about, so keep an eye out for that. So this is a new large volume reservoir air shock. So on screen, you've got loads of shots of this thing. They sent us a whole bunch of shots of it being used and hammered as well. So it's a downhill rated shock, and you can use this because it comes in pretty much all the sizes. Anything from trail bikes or even sort of four-cross bikes through to rampage spec bikes. So it's got a simple compression adjustment on there, which will be familiar to you if you've seen the Bomber Z1 forks that they have. This is it on screen. So you've got an asymmetric reservoir position. So yes, it's easy to get to the adjustments, but also piggybacks in a good place there as well. Air valve location also is designed to not interfere with frame designs there. Comes in metric and trunnion configurations in just about every option, with stroke from 40 to 75 millimeters. So that's a wide range there. I'm not going to read out all the sizing, but there are a lot of sizes available. It's got unique air volume spacers available in 0.1 CI increments, and it's got travel reducing spacers, just like most modern shocks. And it also can accept the Fox bearing mounts in the ends as well there. So well, there you go. Great value shock from Marzocchi. So retail price is $479 US, which is 639 in euros and 529 in Great British pounds. And if that's anything like the Bomber coil shock, this thing is going to be a really cool, great value shock. And last up in news is the Deviate Claymore. Now Claymore is definitely a name I've heard before on bikes, but not from Deviate. We'll get to that in a quiz in a while. Get your thinking caps on. Now Anna actually saw this bike, and I think she was looking at the fork on it, because I think it had a 38 Öhlins fork on there when she was doing a tech walk around the pits at Tweed Valley. So the bike kind of broke cover there, but this is like the official release we've been sent. I mean, look at the images. This thing is seriously nice looking. So lifetime warranty, full carbon frame. It's got a crash damage replacement policy, enduro bearings throughout, twin lip wiper seals on there, silent 18 tooth chain idler there with twin outboard sealed bearings on it. This thing is really well thought out. Grease ports on all the pivots and on the idler, which really pleases me. It means you can flush fresh grease straight through those bearings, which will push anything old out through the seals there. So that's a really nice positive thing. Geometry on here, so you've got three sizes, medium, large and extra large. Reach on those is 460, 490 and 520. So the extra large, decent roomy size. Chainstay is 441 millimeters on all three sizes there. Head angle 64.3 degrees, seat angle 78 degrees. Pretty flipping nice, isn't it? It's absolutely bang on. So you've got a 2.6 tyre clearance, threaded bottom bracket, good work. Boost 148, water bottle compatible, and something cool that they say about this, it takes 126 link chain. Now in case you don't know, you can buy chains in like 116s and I think a 112 or something, and 126. You can actually buy it in that length. You don't need additional chain links. You don't need to buy two chains and butcher one, basically is what they're saying, because some bikes, depending on the chainstay length and where the idler wheel is, you have to basically have more than one chain on them, and you don't need to, so it's not that long. Not that much more going on there. It's available, well, they say frame only options start at $3,200 US, which is 3,000 Great British pounds, including VAT, and coming obviously with a warranty and a crash replacement policy. Shipping is free worldwide. That's about it. I think it's pretty flipping nice. What do you reckon of that? Okay, quiz time then. So we've got 3 questions coming at you. So first question on screen, we just took a look at that Deviate Claymore. But which other bike brand used to make a mountain bike called the Claymore? Next question, which EWS Pro has just had a very successful start to the season wearing the new Giro Insurgent helmet? And the last question, the current Marzocchi Bomber Z1 comes in both black and bold red, but what colour was the original Bomber Z1? Pick up the questions a bit later. Okay, comments. Wow, a lot of comments in fact, from the last few weeks' show especially. So last week, almost don't know where to start. So just going to go in on the bar size first. So Scrabble says, I run 760mm on my Ragley Bop. Always use 780 as a 6'1" rider with longer arms, but cutting them down definitely improved my riding position. Crazy what 20mm on your bars can do. Hey, it does, and it also goes to show that there's no one size that's going to suit everyone. You've got to find what works for you. Chris Austin says, I like the feel of 800mm bars, but after a while I was getting shoulder pain. Definitely not good. After a bit of research, I cut them down to 780 and the discomfort disappeared in a couple of rides. Also helps for those tight tree gaps. Yeah, we didn't actually talk about discomfort and pain like that, but yeah, if you're getting discomfort from your bike in any manner, knees, arms, back, anything, it's definitely something you need to address, and it's nearly always to do with bike fit. So we've got loads of those videos. I'm sure there'll be some floating around down there. Next up's from Finn, who says, I'm currently running 820mm bars on my Trek Remedies. They came with that length stock and I haven't bothered to cut them down. I love the bike came with them stock, giving you that option rather than the bike specking with bars that are too narrow. That is a little bugbear. It'd be nice to all bars to be a single length and you just trim them to suit. They feel great as I've gotten used to them, but I'd like to try something shorter to see if it's right, as they're very long. I'm 5'9", so it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to be running that length. But hey, it feels good. I said this to someone in the comments, actually, if you want to feel what the bars are like at a different length, just run all your controls slightly inboard before you commit to trimming down. Obviously, it will look a bit weird. Make sure you leave the bar end plugs in the end for safety. You don't want a core sample if you fall off your bike. But, if you're going to move them in like 10mm either side or 20mm, you only got to ride around the block and see if it feels like a sort of a width that's usable to you. Better than whipping a saw out and just hacking them straight down. Next up, in terms of bar length, from Non-Legit Nation 2. Originally I had 780s, but I keep my bike in my house's sunroom. It's getting tired of turning the wheel sideways and awkwardly scooting in, so I trimmed it to 760 and they fit fine through doorways. Do you know what? That is a constant bugbear for me. My front door's got like rubber marks all over it and I'm forever like hitting the top of the door frames. The bike's obviously riding quite long for the same reason, having to whittle the bike through. Yeah, that's a very good point actually. And then on to the other stuff we were talking about, the comments from the previous show. So Cody says, great episode, however, I disagree with those who can afford expensive mountain bikes can get them. Those are high-end components that are being potentially sold to the rich percent who honestly don't know how to take advantage of them. This again is benefiting those who do not need it. Most of us can't afford those bikes and can still likely outpace the typical buyer of factory and carbon products. I know there's a percentage of those who own those things that can actually take advantage of it, pro riders, etc. But let's be real, it's a rich man's sport. There needs to be a better solution to pricing and affordability, no way to justify it. Hey, I do agree with you. I don't necessarily think it is a rich man's sport. For sure, when mountain biking started, it certainly was a bit more of a middle class sport, but I don't necessarily think that is the way. There are paths into the sport, and of course, you've got to bear in mind that any product is going to be developed at the top end. And it's not because the manufacturer's like, hey, let's make this and we can sell it for this amount of money. It's more the fact it's going to cost a load of money. Once their team racer has said, hey, I need you to make me this and I'll go faster, the cost of development for that product will naturally end up with a big costing associated to it. So they're naturally going to release the product at a certain price point, and then it will filter down where more people are going to be able to benefit from this. Like, just use Shimano as an example of that. All their top end stuff will always come in at an XR level. With RockShox, their black box program, all the stuff you see on the cheaper level forks all comes in from the top level with downhill races and World Cup races. That's kind of how the sport works in that respect. I'm not suggesting that things aren't overpriced though. I'm just trying to say how things are with that. For example, if you look on, just going off on a tangent here, if you look on AliExpress or one of those sort of style websites, you'll find a lot of components on there that look very similar to a lot of parts available on the market, but a fraction of the cost. They couldn't have made those things that cheap without the other brands having made them first. It's just how those things work. Next up is from Cheesy Wheels. To protect your pinkies. Oh yeah, we're talking about the little bar end things, aren't we? Something that seems to be left to the history books is curved bar ends. Yep. Not only do they protect your hands, but also great for climbing up hills as well. I'm going to make a prediction that bar ends, in some form or other, they're going to make a bit more of a comeback. It makes so much sense for endurance racing, certainly, like the changing hand position, and of course, yeah, protection. Yeah, I used to love bar ends. I used to like L-bends, had some Onza L-bends on the bike. But they were the cheap ones. They weren't the Porsche alloy ones. I had like the steel ones. Heavy old things they were. Next from Charles Tallam, who says, the counter to no one's making you buy it is, but they're trying to make you want it. Yeah, that's completely fair. That's what marketing does. And yeah, companies do spend loads on marketing to subliminally or just outright intentionally make you desire something. Yeah, there's significant functionality difference between affordable bikes and the upper tier bikes. Look at the cheaper forks or brakes. Anything less than D or level is downright dangerous on awesome trails. Yeah, that is completely true, but you've got to think about this as well in, like, you know, in other industry things. You don't need a pair of 150 quid Nike sneakers to go for a run. You could go riding in flip-flops or bare feet. Like, you don't need these things. We all know this. But you've got to bear in mind as well that with the cheaper and entry-level components, they're not thinking of the person that's going to go shredding. I know if you're on a budget, that does prove a problem, but the whole point was to bring people into the sport from riding just a regular town bike or BMX or whatever it is they had before discovering mountain biking. You've got to start somewhere. So you come in and you get onto a bike that's a bit more of a mountain bike shaped bike than an actual mountain bike. I think we know what we're talking about here. And the idea is you will build your skill over time. And as you build your skill, you start becoming a better rider, riding further distances, starting wearing things out, start saving money to replace those components, and then start going into the cycle of improving on your bikes. Yeah, I mean, to ride what you say, those awesome trails, yeah, all right, it's not going to be the best on those more entry-level style bikes, but that's kind of how it has to be. I don't see how it's possible without making compromises. You know, and to be fair, some of those entry-level bikes are very good, and I think we probably owe it to do some more stuff with entry-level bikes. I don't know exactly what. If you've got ideas, please let me know down there, because we're totally open to that. We're not against this stuff out there. You know, we're trying to be inclusive for everyone. But it does raise a little point, actually, that I thought about when looking through these comments. E-bikes have kind of changed things a little bit here. Now, something that's really been noticeable with e-bikes is they've brought a brand new person into mountain biking that perhaps might not have been a mountain biker first, like all of you. So, you know, someone that's got a lot of money, for example, doing a high tier job, whatever that is, they might find, hey, mountain biking is really good fun. I can get an e-bike and just go mountain biking. I don't have to spend years getting fit and learning stuff. I can just get on one and go. And that's brilliant. And they're spending the money, and of course, all this stuff is happening. But also the downside, you're starting to find these people in places where perhaps they probably shouldn't be to start with. I mean, like the top of like a black rated run or something like that, putting themselves in danger ultimately. Whereas if they were to start on that entry-level bike, they're not just going to go up there, they're going to work their way into the sport, work their way up in terms of their skill and the equipment that they have. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there is a little bit of a rite of passage with the entry-level bikes. Whether that's right or wrong, it's kind of there, isn't it? Okay, into Rewind. This is where we get all nostalgic, looking at where we came from. All the great stuff now, of course, wouldn't have happened without someone making terrible stuff or terribly cool stuff to start with. So if you've got anything old, any old mountain bike stuff, share it with us. There's a link here, there's another one down there. Or alternatively, if you want to know about the old stuff, where it came from, ask us in the comments and we'll get back to you. So first up this week is from John. It's a Cannondale SM600 for 1986. Seriously old piece of kit. Lots of original, he says, with sort of changes over the life of the bike. Big recent change of a rear hub supporting 11 speed and a conversion to 1x11. That's pretty sick that you're still riding it and you're still like converting things on there. So, I mean, yeah, all right, so you've pretty much got a new transmission, but you've got the original brakes on there. Wow, and look at the frame and the bars and stem. Oh man. So those brakes, are they IRD brakes? I think they could be. So they're kind of like a version of a cantilever brake. But you've got the sliding plate, sort of like a roller plate that slides up through the top there. So much power actually those things had, considering, you know, the era you were in. Unreal looking thing. Do you know what? That's one of those era of Cannondale that I would still love. I'd love an old bike like that as I'd probably just have it as a runaround. Kind of, you know, you're using yours now. Probably do the same thing with it. It looks cool. Neil's got like an ancient Kona Lava Dome, one of the paint flicker ones. He hasn't got the original fork on it though. It's got a random fork. I guess he must have bent it over the years. But I'm always envious. He rides his to work with full length mudguards just as a daily ride. But yeah, I'd kind of like something like that. I think it's cool. Nice. So am I right in thinking, yeah, is that the mullet version? The smaller back wheel? Pretty sure it was. So we referred to those quite a bit recently. So Cannondale was one of the earliest brands to do the sort of the mixed wheel size thing. So they had I think the 400, 500 and the 600. But I think they started in like 1984, I'm going to say. I can't remember. But they had a whole range of those bikes. But imagine that, 24-inch rear wheel and a 26-inch front wheel. Probably getting kicked up the arse for that. Nice. Okay, and this one, oh man, this is, I've got to share this with Neil actually. He will love this. He used to ride one of these, but this one's like a Deviate tribute. So this is from Alex in Oxfordshire, and it's a GT DHI drive. Oh man, look at this thing. I spent the last 18 months building a fully custom Deviate tribute GT DHI. Proper labour of love. Oh, I'm just going to share the shots because this is just awesome. And in fact, our social team will share these as well, so keep an eye out for these on our social channels. Oh man, yeah, full XTR on there. Oh, look at the Hope brace. Just look at the gear you've got on this. You've even got the experimental stickers on there. You've got the Shimano DX SPD pedals. Those things are awesome. Boxers, Michelin tyres. Are they DH521s or 321s? No, they're the 521s, aren't they, literally? Oh no, I'm wrong. The 321s. The 521s were the brake compatible ones, and the 321s were the disc brake ones with no braking surface on the rims. Oh man, lovely to see that. Awesome looking stuff. Even got a Bel Air and a Thompson seat post on there with a Hope QR, Fox Vanilla, RC shock. Serious bit of kit, and an Onza, an Ozonic shorty stem. Always makes me laugh because they're like 75mm, which is not exactly short, is it, by today's standards? But that was, unbelievably, that was really short back then. And a crud catcher as well, with the deformable rubber bit on the front. Lovely stuff, Alex. That is a seriously nice build, and a classic MRP Ultra Speed chain guide. The coolest looking chain guide of all time, by far, I think. Lovely looking bike. Nice location as well, with all the bluebells. Good stuff. Thanks for sending it in. Don't forget, get involved down there. Okay, now we've got time for some bike cave action as well. So if you've got somewhere cool where you keep your bike, garden shed, behind the fridge, back of a pickup truck, whatever it is, share it with us. Same thing, link right there, another one down there to click through. Tell us where you're from, what you love, what bikes you got, and a bit about yourself and your bike cave. So the first one is from Gary in Hampshire, who says, I just completed the new bike cave build, started sorting it out. The old wooden shed was destroyed in the storms earlier in the year, so I went for a new recycled plastic option. 11.5 foot by 8 foot, decent size. Less maintenance and hopefully will last a long time. Yeah, I'm sure that will. It does look really sturdy actually. It looks like it's made of metal to be fair. I actually thought it was to start with. So a bit of old kitchen worktop and a nice built frame there for your workbench. That looks real sturdy. Nice Halford's tool chest, Makita tool bag under there. Bikes all hanging up. Is that the Nog system you've got on there? Holding? Oh no, is it Klug? I can't remember. The little holders for the front wheels. Either way, super nice stuff there. Nice and organised as well for your plastic trays. That looks good. Good setup. And yeah, needs a little bit of decoration, I reckon, but I'm sure if you've only just built it, you're going to get there. You literally have only built it. Look at it from the outside. Hell, it's wicked, isn't it? It looks like kind of like a bike cave version of a Wendy house. Love it. You've got decent barbecue as well. Good stuff. And next up is from Tyler in Aberdeen, Scotland. This is my garage bike cave, bike maintenance, cleaning, and of course, beer fridge. Well, I'll tell you what, I think you've just trumped everyone on this place. Flipping heck, dude. Beer fridge full of Brewdog. In fact, a Brewdog beer fridge full of Brewdog. An awesome looking workshop setup. Oh man, so you've got the rubber floor tiles, you've got the stools, you've got the tool board on the back, you've got all of the sort of WD-40s and muck-offs and all the lubes and stuff going on. Lovely units on the back there. Man, how much stuff have you got in here? And how many bikes have you got? You've got Transition Patrol 27R, Ragley Big Wig Race 29, Canyon Grizz, Giant Defy. You're a serious cyclist. I love this place. Oh man. I'm just going to whiz you through some pictures since there's just so many. Another person using the muck-off mats as well. They're really popular, those things. Really decent. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's essentially like I think a cleaning mat essentially, but a lot of people use them if they're storing the bikes inside, so they don't drip oil and stuff on the carpet. See a lot of people using them. They kind of look cool as well. Nice. So are you into surfing as well by any chance? You look like the sort of guy that'd be into surfing with all this cool stuff hanging up everywhere. Nice. In fact, I said that because I thought you had one of the Sex Wax logos, but it says you had Punk IPA. You must be like an Uber fan. You've got Punk IPA stickers everywhere. Man, that's a seriously nice space. You've got everything going on there. TRX straps as well. And you've got some weights and kettles down there. Oh, dude, awesome looking place. Love it. That's definitely the best one for a while. Can you trumpet? Send it in. And last up, let's just have some quiz answers. So the first question was the Deviate Claymore wasn't the only mountain bike that's also been known as Claymore. Who else had one? Did you get it? Cannondale had a bike called the Claymore. It was the bigger brother of the Jekyll, had more travel. I think I'm going to say 170 or 180 mil travel. Had that dyad twin pull shock with the 2 different chambers, and you clicked a button, it had 2 different amounts of travel. Beast of a bike. No longer make that bike, but it was kind of cool at the time and suited the name as well. Deviate, much nicer though. Which EWS Pro had a successful start to the season wearing that new Giro Insurgent helmet? Richie Rude, wasn't it, up at Tweed Valley? Definitely a bit better than the last time he was there, that's for sure. And the last one was the current Bomber Z1's available in black and sort of almost a postbox red, looks awesome. What colour was the original? It was orange, or Bomber orange as they used to call it. Kind of like Tizery, kind of iron brew colour, I guess. It was cool. They still look cool now, I think. As always, leave us some comments on this week's show down there. Keep it clean as you always do. Honestly, you guys are all amazing. Thanks for the great comments as always. Thanks for getting involved with the channel and supporting us. You can also get the merch on the shop and all that stuff. There's always new stuff dropping, so if you don't like what we're wearing on the shows, just check out the store because there's loads of good stuff on there. And we'll see you on next week's show, and I'll be back then as well. See you later.